long before we discovered that he had fathered 2 children by 2 different women, one in Drimoleague and one in Clonakilty. Father James Munro stood on the altar of the Church of Our Lady, Star of the Sea, in the parish of Gilleen, West Cork, and denounced my mother as a whore. The family was seated together in the second pew, my grandfather on the aisle, using his handkerchief to polish the bronze plaque engraved to the memory of his parents that was nailed to the back of the woodwork before him. He wore his Sunday suit, pressed the night before by my grandmother, who twisted her jasper rosary beads around her crooked fingers and moved her lips silently until he placed his hand atop hers and ordered her to be still. My 6 uncles, their dark hair glistening with rose-scented lacquer, sat next to her in ascending order of age and stupidity. Each was an inch shorter than the next, and the disparity showed from behind. The boys did their best to stay awake that morning. There had been a dance the night before in Skull, and had come home mouldy with the drink, sleeping only a few hours before being roused by their father for Mass. At the end of the row, beneath a wooden carving of the 10th Station of the Cross, sat my mother, her stomach fluttering in terror at what was to come. She hardly dared to look up. The Mass began in the typical fashion, she told me, with the priest's wearied discharge of the introductory rites and the congregation's discordant singing of the Kyrie. William Finney, a neighbour of my mother's from Ballydevlin, made his way in all his pomposity to the pulpit for the first and second liturgical readings, clearing his throat into the heart of the microphone before pronouncing every word with such dramatic intensity that he might have been performing on the stage of the Abbey Theatre. Father Munro, perspiring noticeably under the weight of his vestments and the intensity of his anger, followed with the acclamation and the gospel before inviting everyone to be seated, and 3 red-cheeked altar boys scurried to their side bench, exchanging excited glances. Perhaps they had read the priest's notes in the sacristy beforehand, or overheard him rehearse his words as he pulled the cassock down over his head. Or maybe they just knew how much cruelty the man was capable of, and were happy that on this occasion it was not being directed towards them. "My family are all Gilleen as far back as records go," he began, looking out at 150 raised heads and a single bowed one. "I heard a terrible rumour once that my great-grandfather had family in Bantry, but I never saw any evidence to justify it." An appreciative laugh from the congregation. A bit of local bigotry never hurt anyone. "My mother," he continued, "a good woman, loved this parish. She went to her grave, having never left a few square miles of West Cork, and didn't regret it for a moment. Good people live here, she always told me. Good, honest, Catholic people. And do you know something? I never had cause to doubt her. Until today." There was a ripple around the church. "Until today," repeated Father Munro slowly, shaking his head in sorrow. "Is Catherine Goggin in attendance this morning?" He looked around, as if he had no idea where he might find her, even though she'd been seated in the same pew every Sunday morning for the past 16 years. In a moment, the head of every man, woman, and child present turned in her direction. Every head, that is, except for those of my grandfather and 6 uncles, who stared resolutely forward, and my grandmother, who lowered hers now just as my mother raised her own in a seesaw of shame. "Catherine Goggin, there you are," said the priest, smiling at her and beckoning her forward. "Come on up here to me now like a good girl." My mother stood up slowly and made her way towards the altar, a place she had only ever been before to take communion. Her face was not scarlet, she would tell me years later, but pale. The church was hot that day, hot with the sticky summer and the breath of excited parishioners, and she felt unsteady on her feet, worrying that she might faint and be left on the marble floor to wither and rot as an example to other girls her age. She glanced at Father Munro nervously, meeting his rancorous eyes for only a moment before turning away. "As if butter wouldn't melt," said Father Munro, looking out at his flock and offering a half-smile. "How old are you now, Catherine?" he asked. "16, Father," said my mother. "Say it louder, so the good people at the back of the church can hear you." "16, Father." "16. Now lift your head and look at your neighbours. At your own mother and father who have lived decent Christian lives and been credits to the parents who went before them. At your brothers, whom we all know to be fine, upstanding young men, hard workers who have led no girl astray. Do you see them, Catherine Goggin?" "I do, Father." "If I have to tell you to speak up again, I'll hit you slap across this altar, and there's not a soul in the church that would blame me for it." "I do, Father," she repeated, louder now. "I do. That will be the only time you ever utter those words in a church. Do you realise that, little girl? There'll never be a wedding day for you. Your hands are going to your fat belly, I see. Is there a secret that you're hiding?" A gasp from the pews now. This was what the congregation had suspected, of course. What else could it have been? But they had waited for confirmation. Eyes flitted back and forth between friends and enemies alike. Conversations already being prepared in their heads. "The Goggins," they would say. "I would expect nothing less from that family. He can barely write his name in a scrap of paper, and she's a peculiar article."